A trade proposal lands Giannis out of Milwaukee, but does not get him to the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about what that is, and could the Chicago Bulls actually use their expiring contracts to leverage themselves to be part of a star trade? We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, everydayers, we got a lot of stuff to break down today. We got to talk about this Giannis 4-team proposal that the Bulls can be involved in. And then I also want to talk about like just how the Bulls could leverage some things this year. Let's start off with the Giannis trade proposal. Pat, this is a deal. Wait a second. Did I introduce you?
Bro, you didn't introduce nobody. I was completely thrown off. I did
the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts.
I swear, I was like, he's really excited to talk about this Giannis trade that's probably not going to happen. Like, he is gung-ho.
It's Monday, bro. It is a Monday, bro. Like, I woke up today still thinking today was Sunday. I'm not even going to lie to you. There's about 2 hours where I was like, man, it's chill today. I ain't got nothing to do. What I'm about to do with my day. And then I was like, wait a second, it's Monday.
I have a job.
Got a job, bro. I think even on Bulls Central, I introduced it as the Sunday episode. So there you guys go on that one. But this is a 3-team trade. We have heard that the Toronto Raptors are very key in on making a splash today. The 3-team trade has Giannis, Jalen Smith, and Javon Carter going to the Toronto Raptors. The Milwaukee Bucks get RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, Chris Boucher. The Los Angeles Lakers get Jakob Poeltl and Lonzo Ball, and the Bulls get Dalton Knecht, Jared Vanderbilt, Shake Milton, and a $10 million trade exception. Now, this trade is probably not going to happen. I want to be clear here. But what do you think about, I know that a lot of people were talking about the Bulls potentially getting Giannis, but the Bulls involving themselves in a Giannis trade like this to maybe clear themselves of some things and get some stuff back. How do you feel about that?
Listen, I like the fact that you're getting Dalton Knecht back in this situation. I think the rest of it is kind of just some cat pieces, and of course you get the exception there. But the big part about this is you're moving money off of the books to kind of add back younger pieces. And again, I've told you, AK is watching this NBA Finals with his pants off. A lot of the moves that have been made in these finals have been via the trade, via making good decisions like this one could be if this were a deal that's real. I like being involved in a situation where you don't have to take on the money and you find a way to add an asset to your team by really giving nothing up. So I think it would be interesting if the Bulls were to get in on one of these Giannis trades, one of these 3-team, 4-team trade proposals. I love the offseason where there's like a 9-team trade proposal out there where half of the league swaps a player to me. Those are my favorite trade proposals where it's like, what's gonna happen?
It gets a little too far. They're like, hey, but it could happen.
It could happen.
Please shut up.
It could happen.
It could happen. No, it's not gonna happen. Like,
but I just
possibility and probability are two different things I need y'all to learn sometimes. Go ahead, Pat. My bad.
That's just smart GMing though. Finding a way to put yourself in a deal. It's what we've seen. Why am I blanking on the GM in Utah or Jesus? Why am I blanking on his name right now? He was in Boston. Danny Ainge. It's what we've seen Danny Ainge do when we be like a deal would be like 95% of the way done, and Danny Ainge be like, hey, what if I just throw in can I just throw something in on that? We got to get rid of this guy. Can we get something in?
But Danny Ainge doesn't. Like, we could just throw something in, and somehow he walks away with an unprotected first-round pick that ends up a top 10 pick.
But that's what I mean, right? It's like unprotected. It's like, this is the only way that we'll get it. Don't even worry about it. And somehow he finds a way to get it. That's what good GMs do, although he hasn't been able to do it much in Utah. Actually, he's drafted bad in Utah. They got a lot of picks.
Yeah, they got a lot of picks there.
But that to me is something that would signal a sign of like, okay, maybe AK finally figured this out. Maybe Mark Eversley finally figured out how he wants to run this team.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about that a little bit more about the Bulls using that leverage that they have with their contracts to get involved in more. But here's the thing, right? the Bulls are going to be used a lot in like these trade talks and speculations and wild deals this offseason because they have the assets to do it. The problem is that it seems like people will get more creative with the Bulls assets and expiring deals than what AK ever does, right? Like that's part of the issue here is that you see very creative things, but it's just smart GMing. And I think that's the part that gets down to it. But that's the way that the Bulls get involved in the star level trade. I don't think the Bulls are going to get involved where they get a star. And I mean, you've had kind of difference of opinions over that over the last year or so, but I just don't see it happening right now for the Bulls. Because I think by time you give up what you're going to need to give up to get a star in here, you're not left with very much, especially where it seems like this offseason, there's going to be a lot of movement, but that's where the Bulls need to be trying to take advantage of it. When there's an offseason with a lot of movement, that means that there are going to be pieces moved around that teams don't necessarily want to absorb. You know, what you can get by absorbing that, you can get some assets back and start stacking it. And that's what the Bulls have to do in this case. Let me pivot this to you. I want to talk about the Giannis part in a different light before we kind of focus more on the leveraging of assets. With Giannis potentially being moved, with the Boston Celtics not going to have Jason Tatum for the majority of next year, we still don't know if Jaylen Brown's going to get the meniscus surgery. If he does, he may not be ready by the start of the season. Do you think that the Bulls, being a team that wants to be competitive and compete, could they find some fool's gold this offseason, which maybe they do wind up a top 6 seed or something? How valid would you look at that depending on the state of the East? If the Boston Celtics is going to be weaker, if the Milwaukee Bucks are weaker, how would that at all tarnish that for you if the Bulls do somehow make a 6th, 7th seed in this East, considering those things? I have my opinion. What's yours on it?
No, I mean, listen, the Indiana Pacers did it in a NBA this year where they started off absolutely horrible. I don't think they really started clicking until 40 games into the season. And they're in the NBA finals right now. Now, do they look absolutely outmatched? Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that there's levels to this, and it's, the team with the star is going to be better than the team without the star, at least how it seems early on in this finals. But, I do think there's validation to say that you made a playoff run, that your young players got into an actual playoff run. Now, the question is, what are you going to do with that playoff run? But for you to be a top 6 seed, it's not just like you're only beating the Eastern Conference, right? You've got to go out there. You've got to beat some of the top teams in the West. You've got to beat some of the top teams in the East. Like, being at the top still means that you're competing against the best of the best, and you're coming out on top in some of those moments, which we saw the Bulls do a little bit in the second half of the season this year anyway.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I'm glad that you said that, because my angle on that would have been, for anybody who's a naysayer on that, is that we play the Boston Celtics 4 times. That's it, 4 times. That's it. The Boston Celtics making the Eastern Conference weaker is one thing, but we play them 4 times. So let's say even if the Bulls make the record, and even if you say, well, if Boston was healthy, they lose all 4 of those games against Boston. Okay, cool. They probably still would be a playoff team if that's the case. Like, I'm not worried as much about that. You got to play who's in front of you. So
we didn't lose all 4 games against Boston when they were fully healthy.
So I think that you got to look at it in that light, like, and that's where I think you're going to see a lot of teams be maybe a little bit more aggressive this year, because the East is going to be looked at as wide open. The Cavs are still going to be, unless they make some drastic changes, they're still going to be probably have the best record in the East next year. But like, even looking at this Pacers team that's in the finals, like, the Pacers are a good team, make no mistake about it, but they're not a team that's unbeatable. They're just not. They're a good team. They're a well-constructed team, but they're not unbeatable.
I think the only team never mind. OKC did do some things to us. What did Michael Beasley say? It was consensual. That's what they did to us. That's how that went. That's how that game went. But I think here's, again, I keep making the joke that, AK is watching this finals with his pants off, because we are heading towards an NBA, though, where this is the reality, and it sucks. I still think you need a star, but you're going to have teams that are just really good teams that are going to be at the top of the East. You're going to have teams that are really good teams that are going deeper in the playoffs. Why? Because the second apron is murdering teams, and we're watching it happen before our very eyes. The Western Conference is about to have some problems.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like, the 2 teams that are in the finals, they don't pay the luxury tax.
Like,
the same
at all. Now, could this be a one-off? Sure, but how things are set up right now, I think the Pacers side of this is a one-off because Shai's a superstar, right? Like he's the MVP. He's probably about to win an NBA Finals. Like there's all of these things that it's like, okay, but Shai's a superstar level player. He's averaging 30. So it's a little bit different on one side of things than on the Indiana side of things. But I still think you need star talent. I think you still need star players. But you are going to have to build a team. And I think for me, that means you can't just sell your soul like what we saw the Phoenix Suns do and say, I'm going to just go get a bunch of talented pieces. I think that AK is looking to do that and has been looking to do that for a while. He's just been very bad at it.
And passive. But
and you didn't need to re-sign Lonzo Ball for $10 million.
I mean,
got to get that.
Now when you had an offer for a first-round pick unprotected, that's the thing. Like re-signing, if you didn't get any offer, maybe we could have a conversation on. But when you got offered a first-round unprotected pick, and you look at that and said, no, that's a problem. But with that said, we're gonna keep on the
every episode. Going. I promise y'all.
Yeah, oh yeah. We're gonna get into more of the discussion on how the Bulls can leverage all their assets this year to be the third team in a trade. But first, we got to get to a message from Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? For Shades on Wheels. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on my Bulls merch. And now I budget smarter and save more and still find a way to get my merch. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money in your partner's account is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. What's up, Pat?
Sweet.
What's up?
Jesus.
Anyway.
Sweet Jesus. All right.
With that said, I know we kind of touched on it around and talked about it. My question to you is, how aggressive do you want to see AK this year? Like, this is a season where AK could stack assets without giving up anything that's really part of your future. We've talked about it before, $61 million in expiring contracts, and that's not including Kobe or Ayo. If you wanted to include those guys, there's going to be a lot of movement. Windhorst has said it. Mark Stein has said it. Jake Fisher. Everybody's expecting this to be a crazy year of a lot of movement. The Bulls are in a unique opportunity with the trade exception and the expiring contracts to be a third team in some of these deals, or at least one of them, to get an asset back. We saw the Spurs, for example, get a first round pick in the move that sent the signing trade that sent DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento. They got Harrison and they got a first round pick back in that move, and they were just the team to absorb salary. Do you think the Bulls could play that role this offseason, Pat?
I think the Bulls have a ton of assets that they can leverage. As much as I joke about the Lonzo Ball contract, it is still very much like if a team just wants to dump their money or they want to get rid of $10 million real quick, the Lonzo Ball contract, I think, does that. So it's still a very movable contract for a team. I don't know who would be in on that, but it is there for you. I would like to see the Bulls be more aggressive in, if you can, trying to get at least one more pick in this draft. Again, we've talked about how I feel about this draft, because I think you're at the doorstep of something, right? I don't know if it's the doorstep of becoming one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, the doorstep of just becoming a playoff team, but it does feel like you've continued to build on this, at least from a play-in standpoint, and now you finally found a combination to where, hey, we actually might have a team that can compete to make a real playoff spot. We might actually have a team that can compete to be in that top 6 or compete to be in that top 5 or 4, like, especially with the changes that we continue to talk about. So I think you can't ignore what's happening around the Eastern Conference, because the assumption is that Jason Tatum's going to have the Achilles injury, going to have the surgery, he's going to come back perfect. Who knows? That's a year away. It's actually a year and a half away, honestly. But like, to me, you can't waste opportunities where you're seeing other teams around the league, like you said, having a ton of movement, selling off pieces, and say, we don't want to be a part of that because we're waiting for, and I keep looking up this summer of 27 he's talking about.
26.
26. What are you going to get that's like game changing?
I mean, that's the thing. You view it as you have to get a star. I view it as you can get a really good young piece that adds to your core. I think there are some of those guys out there. But yeah, as far as if you're looking like a superstar that you add, it's not like the summer of Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. It's not that summer, but it is a functional summer where you can add some really good, I think, young and up-and-coming talent in that if you choose to be aggressive about going out and get it. But most of those guys are restricted. So at that point, you're playing, all right, better. You're going to really play that second tax apron for Jared?
You know what I mean?
Those type of things. Like, yeah.
I think that's the thing for me where it's like, this is an opportunity now where you could trade for some pieces to add to your team. Because, again, like you said, the summer of 26 is young assets.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of young assets on this team that look like they're ready to take on an opportunity.
A bunch, Pat?
I mean, who's old?
I'm saying, but you say a bunch that's ready to take that leap. Who's ready to take that leap?
Well,
other than Modest and Giddey?
I think if we're talking about Modest, I think if we're talking about Giddey, I think as much as we have ragged on Kobe White, Kobe has improved year over year. And every year by the end of the year,
just
we kind of go,
stay in his role. Let him stay in his damn role.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I think even a healthy Ayo Dosunmu next year.
That's
should be all over the place. Like that's 4.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't need that. I don't need more than 4. Like. Now it's like fill the team out from that point. You know what I mean? So that to me is where I would kind of look at it as. And what scares me about 26, if I'm not mistaken, ain't that the Trae Young year? I think Trey's the one that's on the list. Don't do that.
Look, well, I highly doubt that's going to be the thing. Like, if you're doing all this to set up to get Trae, like that's just idiotic at that point.
well, Haize, we haven't made a lot of smart decisions here.
That's true too. That is very, very true there, brother. So, yeah, but I mean, I think putting yourself in the position is not bad. It's never bad to put yourself in the position to take advantage of some stuff. It's just, you want to see. But I agree with you. Like, and that's why, like, hearing the Bulls could be more aggressive about going out and getting. I'm not saying I like the player, but like being aggressive about like Kuminga or Cam Whitmore, the players that we talked about on Friday's episode, I'm fine with, because looking at the summer of 26, don't get me wrong, there's some good talent out there, but it's not like you said. It's not like, if you make a trade early and say, okay, bet we're gonna make this move now instead of waiting until the summer of 26, I'm not gonna look at it and say, oh my God, but the summer of 26 plan, what are we doing? I'm not gonna say that.
Hey, that's how Jerry Reinsdorf was looking at the 78 property. Now look at the fire. Project 78 is dead.
That is
can I have an honest moment? I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
I know I have not been the Kuminga guy, right? I've been like, I like him. I think he's good, but you got to change a lot around your team. And normally I don't let workout videos get me. I watched Kuminga do a game speed workout over the weekend. They had it online. Yeah, y'all know. I'm like, it's Ben Simmons. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. How that kid was working, I was like, hold on, now this he might be one of them ones, bro. Like you don't see
one of them ones.
He might.
You
be
think one of them ones?
I don't know. That was the fan in me that was like, hey, look, I ain't seen somebody work like this in a minute. Hold on now, this man's out here balling at game speed in a practice right now. I like what I'm seeing. I didn't say trade the world, but I got that excited Bulls fan feeling where you're like, could he change the franchise forever?
That's crazy. Listen, my boy ain't just drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. You got an IV Kool-Aid. You got an IV of it at that point. That's crazy.
Right in the veins. I need that right in the veins.
That's crazy. I guess we shall see. What happens there. But that's crazy. This man said change the franchise. I mean, to the credit though,
that was a meathead moment. I said it was an honest moment. It was a meathead moment. Moment.
Draymond did say in his exit meeting, he told the front office of the Golden State Warriors, Kuminga's going to be a star. It could be here, it could be somewhere else, but he is going to be a star for whatever that's worth. So take that for what you take that for.
Pat Kuminga, Flaccavelli said Pat Kuminga.
That's
hey,
crazy.
man, we'll see what ends up happening with the Bulls this offseason, see what they end up leveraging here. But we do got to tell you guys all about our sponsors at DoorDash before we tell you about how long will Billy Donovan be safe on this Chicago Bulls team. All that and more coming up next. But first, NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season is here. The finals are here, which means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA Finals. Forgot to change that background back there. Oh, well, branding. It's called the Swoosh You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in the playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more and use the code Wingstop50 at checkout, and the combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. The offer is valid noon to midnight the day after the game. And here's the thing: what is your go-to move after an epic game? Are you ordering wings or reliving the highlights? Imagine being rewarded with free food just because somebody went off for 50. Shay may do it because I'm gonna tell you what right now, it looks bad. Indiana's had a hot 4 minutes and it got them game one, but it looks bad. Here's the play. Sign up with Dash Pass. Unlock more exclusive deals all season long when any player scores 50-plus points in the finals. Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 order code with code Wingstop50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms and conditions do apply. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
All right, Pat, let's get to it. Last topic of the day, Billy Donovan. I know you've touched on this a little bit, like on the episode that I missed last week, especially bringing up Tibbs. Billy Donovan is now outlasted. I went back and looked. There have been a total of 6 NBA head coaches with an above 500 record as a head coach on their teams that have been fired since Billy Donovan has been. There's been another 3 coaches that have been fired that have a better winning percentage than Billy Donovan since Billy Donovan has been the coach of the Chicago Bulls. We know that the front office values the relationship that they have with Billy Donovan as far as like they agree, they see things the same way. But when you see these type of statistics, how much longer can Billy Donovan realistically stay safe with Chicago, considering what we're seeing happening around the NBA with winning coaches?
I think here's what I'll say, right, is, again, I think you look at, I keep saying this, star power to me matters very much in the NBA. And I think that the coaches that are getting passed around, I mean, you basically got a brothel going around the league here. You got coaches getting passed around left and right, dog. And it's the same dudes. You're just throwing them around. Mike Budenholzer's over here now.
Stacks around here. Is that
hey, listen, it was consensual. You got Mike Budenholzer over in Phoenix. Get him out of here. This guy sucks. Now he's down in Philly. Get him out of here. This guy sucks. He's up in Milwaukee. Get him out of here. This guy sucks. Like, you just keep swapping these dudes around, and I don't think that's the way to move either. And a lot of the teams are swapping these guys around because you continue to get the same results out of different guys being thrown around the league. So I don't think you swap guys around just to swap them around. What I will say about it, though, is it is surprising that Billy Donovan has lasted this long. It is surprising that the Bulls haven't looked to upgrade the coaching position. But I honestly think every time we see one of these guys get fired, whether it's Donovan or whether it's Doc Rivers, whether it's Mike Budenholzer, whether it's who else has been released, that, like, whether it's Thibs, maybe Thibs a little different because there's a personal touch there. I never go, yeah, I'd rather have that dude than Billy Donovan.
So not even Taylor Jenkins?
Well, that's a different one.
Okay, I was about to say
that was the one.
That was the one.
I
was about to say I thought Taylor Jenkins was the one that you
that
viewed
was
a little
the
bit
one.
Yeah.
But I forgot they fired Taylor Jenkins.
That's the one for me too.
That's
Taylor
the
Jenkins
one,
is the one
I think he's a really good coach.
I think he is a really, really good coach. I think his offensive philosophies. I think you give Taylor Jenkins Kobe White, and I think that we see the best version of Kobe White than we could possibly see. I also think he work out that backcourt between Giddey and Kobe White probably better than anybody else. Like, that's the one for me too. I agree with you. Like, Mike Malone won a title. Make no mistake about it. He's a really, really good coach. But he's also a coach that has suffered sometimes with rotations. Him and Budenholzer. I get it that they both have won titles, and that brings a little different thing around it. But I think people forget they were close to firing Mike Budenholzer for a lot of the same reason people complain about Billy Donovan until he won the title. They won that title that year, and it was a lot of the same stuff around it before he won the title. Go ahead, Pat.
I get a Knicks credit because firing Thibs, you were going to fire him anyway. He went to an Eastern Conference Finals. That didn't mean everything changed. With Mike Budenholzer, he won an NBA championship, and they probably should have fired him after it, because you fired him a year and a half later because you were like, nope, still the same dude. We hate him. You wasted a year and a half.
For the optics, a lot of teams look at it for the optics. It's like, we can't fire a coach after you just won a title. Like, what are we going to say? He did what the job was supposed to do. But best believe, if Budenholzer didn't win that title that year, the end of that season, he would have been fired. That's it.
What he say on Winning Time? I won an effing championship. Thank you for your contribution. Like,
Vince McMahon would have fired him anyway.
You're fired.
You're fired.
That next joke was about to be nuts. Almost. That was gonna be crazy. But no, I think here's the thing in the long run with Billy Donovan. Like, when I look at Billy, even with Taylor Jenkins, I love Taylor Jenkins. I do think I would move on from Billy for Taylor Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
But is Taylor Jenkins just early on Billy Donovan that we were all excited about? Right? Remember when Billy was early on? We loved the skings. We loved the young innovation that he brought to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was able to get the job done with less on that team after they had moved on from everybody. Like, there were all these things that you liked about Billy Donovan. And then when he got fired, I was like, do not hire this mug. Like,
see, no,
because the excitement wears off if you don't have the long-term success.
But that's the thing. Taylor Jenkins had he had an almost 60% win percentage over 4 or 5 years, bro. Like, it wasn't just that flash in the pan. Like, Taylor Jenkins was having success for a while.
If I'm not mistaken, we hired Billy Donovan with a 60% win percentage.
Yeah, but that's different, bro. Like, he did that. Like, don't get me wrong. What Billy Donovan did with OKC was great, but some of the same mistakes, like, for example, with the Grizzlies, the mistakes aren't Taylor Jenkins. It's not being able to stay healthy. The decisions they made were first-round picks. The coaching aspect was good. Coaching was the problem with Billy Donovan. Regardless of what his win percentage was, we saw it in the playoffs. The dude didn't adjust. All you had to do was look at him and say, oogity. On defense, he was like, I don't know what to do now. They did something I didn't expect. I don't know what to do. We don't know how to adjust to this.
Where's Taylor? He did have a 60% win percentage this year. They fired him. He's got a 53%.
And if you take out the year last year in 2023-24, when all of their team was hurt, he would have had a 60% win percentage.
Yeah,
for his career.
I mean, I think that, and again, I would rather have Taylor Jenkins than Billy Donovan. That's probably the one person I would rather have. But I think when you talk about, how long will he be safe? Like, there's not really a ton of coaches around the league outside of Taylor Jenkins that I'm looking to move on for Billy Donovan for. Like, honestly, like all the names out there right now, and all the names who end up getting passed around like I don't know if I can say that on the show. Like
had sex,
like paraphernalia on the South Side, right? Like, who is the one that you would want to bring in and say this is the answer to fix the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Mike Malone,
maybe Monty. Maybe
I'd like. See, the thing is, Monty, you got to make sure Monty believes in the roster, because what he showed in Detroit, if he don't believe in the roster, he'll take your money and be like, I told you I didn't believe in these guys. So, like, what do you want me to do? Like,
I hate all of them,
bro. Because when you have to go to a coach 3 times for them to take your job, and then you have to make them the highest paid coach in the league, that tells me he didn't believe in none of that roster, bro. And now you look at it with some veteran changes and somebody that actually believes in that roster. So I'm fine with Monty. I'll put Monty up there too. But you gotta have a real conversation. Be like, all right, Monty, what do you think we can do with these guys? If he's like, I can make it work. No, never mind, Monty. We appreciate you for taking the meeting. We're gonna go ahead and sit down.
Yeah, I don't see anybody out there that is like,
here's the thing too. On the
think they improve the Bulls.
The flip side of that is that I'm gonna say we're talking about names. It's not, to me, and I've always said this, I love Taylor Jenkins. It's not about replacing Billy Donovan, who's the name that you get that we already know. I want to see you find the next great head coach. That's what I would rather do. I'm not going to be hamstrung by just saying, oh, well, I don't believe in any of these other guys, so I can't move on from Billy. No, if that's the case, go out there and find the guy that you truly believe has the opportunity to be the next great head coach. Find your Spo. Find your guy like that. Find your Dangle. I'd rather you find that guy than just keep things going the same just because you don't believe in any other names out there. And I get it. I know people that my more knee-jerky Bulls fans say, but we did that with Hoiberg. Yeah, and then we never gave him the roster that he wanted at all. and those type of things. So you can't use past things of that to keep you from going out there and finding the next guy. Because like a guy like Chris Quinn, I'd be all in on Chris Quinn if you wanted.
So, it's also pretty well documented that Hoiberg didn't have a backbone to be an NBA
That's true
coach.
too. I mean, when Jim Boylan can come in and backstab you for your job openly, and everybody else saw it but you.
Hey, this guy sucks. No, I think though that process usually was most of those guys. Well, I guess not Dagno. Dagno was on Billy's staff.
That was on Billy's staff.
But I like that process may be happening. They may be looking for that guy who's on Billy's staff, and it may just be we're gonna just bring this. I mean, again, you look at Spo. Spo was the video room guy who moved himself up. Like that was internal stuff. Pat Riley went through that same process, and he was that guy. Like it was you're building this out by building what the brand, or not the brand, what's the right way to say it? Building what the identity of the team is, and then you're going out and you're hiring that coach that turns into the Spos or those guys. So I do wonder if that is a part of the process, or maybe the Bulls are looking to do that, and that's why Billy has been so incredibly safe, because they're trying to groom the next guy. What's scary is the next guy may be Billy Donovan Jr., who's just Billy Donovan with a little bit better hair.
This one on up. We appreciate you guys for staying in tune with us on Locked On Bulls. That's the line, bro. Like between that, all the prostitution jokes, I think it's time for us to go ahead and wrap this on up today.
Technically, my last one was a drug joke, so
that's true. So prostitution jokes, drug jokes. We've covered the whole gamut here today.
None of that was the line. Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan Jr. was the line. Go ahead, Pat. Let's go.
Hey man, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Before we get out of here, I'd be in on this. Rajon Rondo on the coaching staff, I would 110%
on the staff, yes.
Not as the head coach yet.
Not as the head coach yet. I went and looked at it real quick since you brought up, bringing in the video guy, or Eric Spoelstra being a video guy for the video guy. Before he became a head coach. I just want to put up. I'm gonna put this up real quick.
We don't have a video guy, do we?
No, we do have a video guy.
Oh, okay.
We do. I'm gonna put this up here real quick, and I just want to see your live reaction to this. Give me 1 second.
Oh no. Oh no.
Because I feel like he can hear the scheme coming already. I feel like he can hear the scheme coming.
Hold on. No, he got the look of a future head coach, bro.
He does look like
the look of a future head coach.
Jeremiah Bonsu. So if you guys hear him coming up the coaching ranks,
he heard that.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Locked On Bulls is free and available with every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV. Anywhere you want us, you can get us. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Either going to be the head coach or the next president.